In the
Yeah.
process,
Oh yeah, Scarred
yeah,
Dust.
you stumbled onto Scardust, and
Yes.
I feel like they've been spoken about briefly on the podcast before, and I know they've been on some tours with Prog Powerish bands. I think they're playing Prog Power. Have they played Prog Power? They're scheduled to play Prog Power. I don't know. Maybe the one I missed. Maybe this year. I didn't know until you mentioned it that they were from Israel, of the tribe, and it's not really relevant because it's just like prog metal. It's like very Dream
I,
Theatery.
I'll be honest.
Uh,
The reason I even like look, well, I always look when I find new bands to find out kind of where they're from.
sure.
Just because sometimes I listen to stuff off of Napalm, and I have to be careful that people aren't like Nazis.
Yeah, of
That was
course.
not the case here for obvious reasons.
Oh no,
But
definitely not.
but I looked at their bassist, and he reminded me of a friend of ours, guy by the name of Michael Mood.
Oh, the new bassist? Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I thought, oh wow, look at that guy. He's having too much fun, and reminds me of a guy. And I was like, oh, they're from Israel. Oh
I
yeah,
can kind of see that. I can kind
yep,
of see that. But man, yeah, that dude is very excited.
very, very.
Uh,
He's happy to be there.
which makes some sense because apparently, as you were also pointing out, he's new. Like if
Yep.
you go back to their older stuff, he's not there, and so it makes sense he just showed up. But also, like they gave him a solo, and his playing is very busy, a lot very slappy. There's a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of like stuff that I would arguably say is like what's wrong with prog bass playing right now. But he's probably
maybe.
good. I mean, usually that kind of situation
He
you end
seems
up
competent.
your original guy leaves, you end up with like and if you're doing well, you end up with a better bass player
Sure.
who will probably elevate things. But man, there's a lot of
Well, they had two people I think leave the band, and both of them were well. We need to work on our personal growth or some shit. I don't recall, but it seems like the people that they're bringing in are okay. These people can really play. They're happy to be here. This is good for everybody. So clearly, he's happy to be there. Cool. I think it is probably them being they're getting better as a band by the changes here. I
probably.
think that's how that works.
Probably. It usually is. And it's very, very again, it's very prog. There was a few moments on that song.
Was
Well,
it the
okay,
hurdy gurdy? That's
let
not
me tell
Prague.
you, well, at this point, no, well, it's like prog adjacent, right? It's like
Mm,
what you need uh your like folk element. Like the for one thing, the
oh
hurdy
sure.
gurdy lady is a guest, right? She's not in
Yes.
the
Yeah.
band.
She does
Um,
all kinds of things and all kinds of people's stuff. Anytime they need something to be traddy and hurdy gurdy, because her name is
yes,
Patty
Patty
Gurdy. I
Gurdy, which I
doubt that's a
assume
real
is a
name.
stage name.
Uh,
Like this song though, like several things about in addition to the bass solo being annoying and the Dream Theater diddly doos being just very pointless. um I do not like at all the idiot choir chorus, okay, which is when you get a bunch of people to act as a it's not gang vocals. I would actually have preferred gang vocals though. Gang vocals I think would have been better, but an idiot choir, which is the kind of choir I was in college, is when you get a bunch of people with no necessary singing qualifications. So
right.
there's a thing called University Chorus, which gave me an ensemble credit. And as a guitar player, I could not be expected to get into a real choir. And so you could be the one that like randos who like used to sing in high school would join just for fun. But it counts for me. It counts for my
There
degree.
you go.
So
It's
that's why I
not
call it
quite
the idiot
clap for
choir.
credits, but like it's pretty
Right,
close.
it's the idiot choir. So
Yep.
they used they had this choir of people and they do the whole chorus. It's kind of like when you have like a choir of children on the chorus. I don't like
The
it.
worst thing in music, I'd like to
Yes,
point out.
I don't like it, and it's especially bad when you don't even like sing the chord. You just have the idiot choir sing it, and you're
Mm-hmm.
just like, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not good.
No.
I probably I don't know. I might have almost appreciated the song if it weren't for that, but then I was like, your whole chorus is just idiot choir. No good.
Now this I've seen a couple of bands do stuff like this. I don't know if I'm confusing other stuff I watched with this. This wasn't one of these where they threw in a bunch of like Patreon people, is it?
Good
I've
question. I
seen
don't
that
know.
happen now. It's like we have all these Patreon subscribers, so
I
we're gonna feature them in a
Oh
song and a
God,
video, and that's how you get real idiot choir. Because
I think Evergrey just did something like that. Maybe not even Patreon, but they posted online where they were like, "Hey,
whatever
if
the hell
you're
it is, who cares?
in
Fans.
Sweden and you want to come to the studio and be on our album," and then it was just it's like that's going to probably be similarly mediocre.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if let's see, they have credits. They have credits for the choir, choir's makeup. Oh, here we go. Hell Score choir singers. I don't know if that's a pretty pretentious name for it. I don't know. There's a bunch of people. They have all their names, but I'm guessing just their friends. It didn't sound at all like a trained choir. We could. Oh, there's also a list of Patreon subscribers, so I don't know. We could. I don't really want to cross-reference.
No,
the names
that's
of the
too
lists,
much work. I'm
but
done
I'm
with
sure that I watched one or two of their other things. One of which looked familiar because again, I've definitely encountered this band before, and I don't know if they're worth like a whole episode and like a deep dive or anything, but
it. Didn't sound like it.
Progressive symphonic metal is what they call themselves. There was violin on this song. That's why it's symphonic, I think. But that's also another fast and loose label that just, if you like Camelot and you use a lot of string patches on your keyboard, it's symphonic. It's a dumb genre because there's no standards and you could just, again, it's like, oh, it's symphonic because you used a string patch. And,
sure, it's
if you really
fast and loose.
If you're really committed to the bit, then you do like a full programmed orchestral arrangement, either as an intro track or on like one or two songs. I
feel like 90% of the time right now, symphonic metal means we have a hot lady singing, and like you said, string patch, and that's it. That's
a big part
really
of it.
all it means for
it's
the
a
music.
big part of it.
Yeah.
Epica again. Really, it goes, Camelot to Epica because they copied their name from Camelot's album. And then a lot of people copied Epica, and
it's clearly popular. I mean, it's obviously a successful thing because
it's a real
people like metal with hot chicks. So, so we'll keep calling bands that, even if it's got shit to do with fuck. So
hopefully, we are hopeful that we are past the female-fronted metal era where the genre was there's a lady in the band,
right?
And people
to be clear, not that we're shitting on female-fronted metal. That's great.
No. And there are symphonic metal bands that don't have a female singer, but a lot.
if that's your whole thing, it's
very.
We just have a lady. That's our whole thing. You're not doing it right.
That reminds me of another thing that annoyed me in Concrete Cages is the song and video we're mostly talking about. It's a year old, but I guess it's the newest thing. It's not the newest thing. Okay.
I just ran across it.
It's a thing that you ran across and sent to me that I assumed was new, but it was enough. The singer is a good singer, but some annoying choices, in my opinion. There was like 2 bars where she transitioned into like bel canto opera voice for like no reason, and I was just like, why? Like, again, that's another idiomatic feature of the genre because of Nightwish. That's and Epica, although, but again, that one's more started from Nightwish. So you take Nightwish and Camelot, combine them, and then make it worse. You get Epica, and then from there, you just do a copy of a copy till it's just garbage. But there's
making money. That's
maybe
it's not making music. It's making money.
I don't know if Scardust making money yet.
Well, they're trying to.
They're on their way. They seem to be. I mean, the production on this video was much better than the older stuff I saw from them, and so that made me suspect it's more of a budget. Granted,
sure,
they're also in the woods for part. I don't know.
Yeah, the old trad metal aesthetic, except for we're not that because we have this bassist that's gonna jack it in the middle of the thing and just absolutely lose his mind. But
yeah, he was. I mean, I guess I at least wasn't surprised when the bass solo happened because I was like, oh, he's been waiting for it.
Oh God, absolutely.
He knew it was coming. That's why he was like. I was like, "Why? Hey, man, I don't think anything's that exciting for you is going to happen." And he was like, "Oh no, it is. It's
just wait, buddy.
It's gonna happen. Just wait." Just
Oh,
wait. This
good
song
God.
is 7.5 minutes long, so
Yep.
anything can happen. Yeah, it's just the prog and the symphonic. They're usually what you expect these days.
Well,
It's a little
antithetical to Prague.
well too progressive, but I mean at this point, prog basically means
Yeah,
do the stuff from again, sound like Dream Theater, uh, and do the diddly doos.
that is a little bit of a problem with Prague or progressive as a genre name because if it is progressive, it should change. And if we're making it a genre, it's not going to
Yep.
change. So,
But it's
yeah,
interesting because there's the other on the other hand, what can you really do at this point? Like, it's at least idiomatic to blend a few subgenres. That at least can still be interesting if you blend a few in an interesting way. Like again, this case they don't normally have the hurdy-gurdy, but this song sounded a little more trad because they threw that in a little more
sure.
folk metal. That's also usually as far as the folk metal. It's like, well, got a violin and a hurdy-gurdy. I think there's a violin on there too, right? I don't know if that was
Probably. Yeah, I believe so.
a
I
regular
watched
band
like
feature
once.
or
I don't know.
another special.
Hard to say.
And like we talked about, Seven Spires is sort of symphonic, but they also use elements of like black metal and death metal a
Yeah.
bit here and there. You got to mix it up. You got to mix it up, keep it interesting, try to do
What if the
progress,
next
but
big thing that's going to be quote unquote progressive is revival of '80s bands? That's why it's Prague. No, it's gonna be. You gotta think harder outside the box. It's progressively regressive. That's why we have all these bands from 1987 because it's progressive to have them making music again, right?
is it? I don't know.
No,
I
no,
don't.
it's absolutely not. But I'm
Yeah, right.
trying to
Well,
make some sense out of this.
so the funny thing to me is that, like, at one point, I got very obsessed with this idea of prog versus progressive and whether I actually like prog or if I just like progressive music. And there's a
Sure,
little bit of both because I definitely had a period where I was into prog. But then at some point, any new band that sounds like Dream Theater, I'm pretty much not interested. And so, but I started to think about it and I realized that uh, the ironic thing about prog and the progressive quote unquote genre is that at any given time, anything that's sort of unique and has a sort of unheard formulation of music styles is progressive. A lot of the biggest art, not all the biggest artists, because sometimes an artist will just come out of an existing style and just do it really well, but like a good chunk of like groundbreaking artists are progressive in some way, and that's part of why they're so popular and significant because novelty is a factor of quality. And so at the end of the day, it's like there's always been progressive music, and prog just happened to be this point where this, and it's in other genres too. It doesn't always mean the same thing, and I'm sometimes
sure.
baffled as to what it's supposed to mean. But there's like progressive types of EDM and stuff,
Oh, sure.
and so you hear the word get thrown around, but it's so funny that prog managed to like take that word because at one point in time where they're like, we're doing the dumb dumb rock and roll music, but not so dumb dumb now. And like, it literally was, the earliest it was really just like, oh, I want to play rock, but I also know classical music or jazz, And so we just put the two kinds of music that the rock guys are like, I don't want none of that, mate. And then they're like, but we do want that, and we're gonna put it back in, mix it together with the rock and rolls, and voila, you get prog. And then they were like, and now that word is ours forever,
There you go.
but also stop progressing and just do
Right.
this now. And like, so it kind of
Well, it
really
probably happened in the '60s, and a lot of things that were very
70s,
formative to
60s, yeah.
American culture were '60s. So it's kind of stuff,
Even by
stuck
the
in time.
80s, even by the 80s, prog rock is sort of like defined
Right.
because like a good example is Marillion because they're basically they're significant, but in a lot of ways they're just they're like a Genesis, not totally knockoff because again they're good and they kind of did their own thing, but you go to Genesis and you're like, oh yeah, no, that's where it came from. They were
Right.
purely
You go
like
back farther to like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and stuff like that. And,
right, and even like what was I was listening to Getty's biography. Yeah, ELP and Yes, and then
Yep.
even Rush is even kind of like second generation almost by that kind of definition, or like not exactly, but they're like a few years behind, so they could draw from all of that. But it's just becomes this really the only thing that changed in the 90s was like adding metal. And then
Sure.
because of Dream Theater's dominance in that category, it just became sound like Dream Theater.
Right.
And there's so many more progressive or prog bands and even progressive bands that have been around that that's why it's so extra infuriating, I think, when you hear new bands come out and just sound like Dream Theater. And I know it's partially because it's hard to avoid their influence, and because again, as we talked about with Winger, when butt rock gets too serious, it just starts to sound like prog
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
Yep.
or power metal, or slowed down power metal. But I don't know, it's
Yeah.
kind of a bummer. You need to
So actually,
shake it up.
to this point, how feel you about Mr. Bungle, Mike Patton's thing?
I'm not a big fan of it, but at one point I listened to a few albums on people's suggestions, and I will say that at least back when I was doing live streams that were purely just I'm going to listen to an album once and then like form my opinions off one really intense listening,
Sure.
because I'm like all these metal reviewers that are giving, you know, the kind of metal reviewers who might give Fellowship five out of five. I don't even know if that guy, but that a certain time where they're like, oh, I listened to this
That
album over and
fucking
over and
guy.
over, and it was good, and I'm like, I heard it once and I know it's not. And like,
Right.
granted, that doesn't mean
Stockholm
I
Syndrome is what that's called.
right. That's where that came from. Is I was like, it sounds like you're just like listening to it until you think it's good. Now
You've beaten yourself with it.
I will say, I just want to be clear that there is a certain amount of like, if you like an album, like the more you listen to it, the more you appreciate like all of it. Like basically, the less amazing tracks start to seem better as you get to know them, but usually there's still some standouts, and usually there's something right away that makes you go, "Oh, this is something significant or different or interesting." But and again, it also depends on how you listen to it. So that was the point. Is I was just going to sit there and like stare at the screen and just like talk to people and talk about it, but just talk as I'm listening to it.
Sure.
And it was a fun approach because it forced me to listen to a bunch of stuff. It forced me to listen to it while paying really close attention. It was a terrible content format. It would still probably fly on Twitch, but it's pointless because I can't make like downstream like YouTube content out of it because
Right.
I got to remove all the music.
The
And so
rights. Yep. So that doesn't
there
work.
probably is a way to do that. Actually, I could do it where I
Yeah,
just
tell people to queue up the thing and be like, start listening now.
there's that. I mean, I could also do it like because I thought about bringing it back as like a private like Discord thing, where like, oh, I just do the live part on Discord, and then I record it where the music doesn't get recorded.
Sure. Well, there has
And
to be a
then
decent way to be able to like play music because tons of people do it, like the charismatic voice lady and uh, Justin Hawkins and stuff play all kinds of stuff, and I doubt that they're getting all of those rights every time to do
are they?
stuff.
I mean,
So
are they live streaming? Are we talking about YouTube or what? Are
YouTube.
we? Usually on YouTube, like if you cut it up enough, what usually happens these days, you get a lot less blocks and a lot more just copyright claims, which just means that they take the money.
Hmm.
Which that isn't bad though if you're still just trying to generate a lot of content. But it can be tricky because sometimes you don't know until you upload the video what's going to happen. And so if it turns out that they're mad and they don't want to block entirely, you got to go back, re-edit it, and try to upload it again. So that was that happened a couple times with stuff I tried to take because I had the most significant. I don't know if I ever edited this one, but I did I listened to John Schaefer's Sons of Liberty. That's his side project that is 100% conspiracy theory. A big preview of like this is getting years before January 6th. And the Jim Steinman Bat Out of Hell
We saw it
musical
coming.
one was pretty interesting. And I edited that one, but it got immediately flagged on YouTube.